Gender diversity in corporate India. Where are we going wrong? Indeed, it is an amazing topic to begin with. And with that, to deliver this topic, I would now request Ms. Apurva Purohit to please join us. Ladies and gentlemen, she is the president of Jagan Prakashan Limited, one of India's largest multimedia conglomerates. She currently leads multiple companies across print, radio, digital, and outdoor in the group. In her tenure at Jagran, she has pivoted the group from a deep-rooted reliance on its traditional print businesses to a focus on a new age emerging businesses and has increased both the scale and profitability of the business's manifold. The more I speak, the lesser it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, presenting Ms. Apurva Purohit.
Thank you, Ankita. We all know that despite the best efforts of policymakers, corporate leaders such as yourselves, organizations, industries, and governments, the gender diversity needle has not moved significantly in the past couple of decades. What is tragic is that research after research keeps proving and reproving the fact that the more diverse an organization is, the more diverse an ecosystem is, the more diverse governments are, the better are their results, be it profitability, be it shareholder value, even GDPs of countries. It is said that India's GDP will improve by 27% if women work to their full potential. The world's GDP will improve by $28 trillion if women work to their full potential. We all know that the ability of a country or an organization to innovate itself out of crises that we saw, like last year, gets enhanced and improved if the organizations, government bodies, and industry is more diverse. What is even more tragic is that in the last 1 year, the diversity results of India, the gender gap in India has only worsened. You may all have seen the WEF report that has just come out, which talks about the fact that India's ranking in gender equality has moved downwards by 28 points. And today India is at 140 out of 156 countries in terms of diversity. The gap has widened by 3% in this 1 year. And women's participation in the labor force has gone down from 24.8% to 22.3%. So, what is happening that despite best intent from government, despite policies being put in place, despite you and I working hard towards ensuring that there is diversity in our organizations, we encourage women to stay back in the workforce, we support them through all the maternity policies and other gender neutral policies that we are putting in place, why is it that across the country, across organizations, whether it is at the lower end, whether it is at the middle end, whether it is at the top, where we want women leaders, we are not seeing enough of them? And I think there are 3 reasons why this is happening. And that's what I would like to focus all your attentions on. What are these 3 reasons and what can we do to neutralize them? Now, all of us understand and all of us are putting a lot of effort in what we are doing in our micro ecosystems that we are running, the businesses, the teams, the companies that we run. And we know and we believe that we are doing the best within our organizations. But the fact is that for whatever support we are able to show our women inside of an organization, the reality is that she has to deal with a larger social ecosystem, and that social ecosystem, the social modes that she operates in, the social attitudes that she has to deal with are pulling her in the opposite direction. Repeatedly, working women are made to feel guilty about the fact that they are working. Repeatedly, working women are told that, if you're educated, spend that time with your children teaching them. If you are wanting to work actually you are being selfish. Women walk up to me repeatedly and tell me this, that, our husband's careers are seen as if he's working for the family, and our careers are seen as if we are going out to satisfy our personal potential, and therefore we are being selfish. So this false binary that we are pressurizing our women with, that it's either your career or your family life, and you can't manage successfully both, are reasons why more and more women, despite organizations wanting them to stay back, are getting guilted into leaving their jobs and becoming the primary nurturer and caregiver at home. You all know that women in India specifically do 6 times more unpaid home labor, home chores, despite the fact that both husband and wife are working. And the lack of support that she finds, the lack of support that she gets at home, because after all, her career is her personal choice. She's not doing it for the family. And therefore, she is penalized by being told that you need to also take care of the family. And if you want to do your career, that's a side issue as far as we are concerned. But your primary job is to take care of your family. I recently spoke at IIT Madras, and many of the PhD students, and you know how difficult PhD is, told me that the reason they leave their PhDs incomplete is not because of lack of mentorship at the institute. It is because they are repeatedly told at home, oh, you're doing your PhD to satisfy yourself. Who's going to take care of your family? And therefore, no support is shown to her. Unless these social mores and these social attitudes change, whatever we do in our organizations and within the industry is going to be too minuscule to move the needle. The second reason why women are dropping out from working is the fact that because society is constantly telling them that it's either or, and you can't do both, we end up minimizing our daughters and sisters. The way we bring them up is very different from the way we bring up our sons and brothers. To our sons and brothers, the message is constantly about you can achieve anything, you can rule the world, you are capable of anything. Whereas the messaging to our daughters and sisters is very different. We constantly be told, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do science, you can't do maths, you won't be able to run fast, you won't be able to drive, you won't be able to balance work and home, you won't be able to navigate the tough corridors of corporate India. And because we are constantly telling them what they can't do, we are increasing their lack of confidence, increasing the tentativeness that women inherently are born with. And if we spend so much time at home telling our daughters and sisters about what they can't do, how do we expect them to be assertive and self-confident and vocal and visible in their businesses and in their work life? This lack of confidence that we are instilling in our daughters has huge ramifications where women themselves don't put themselves out to ask for the next job, the promotion, the raise, because the imposter that is sitting inside them is telling them that no, you don't deserve it. You don't deserve a promotion. You don't deserve a raise. You won't be able to do that tough job. And the demeanor of tentativeness that they exhibit results in business managers feeling that our women are not capable enough. Which brings me to my third and last point, which is that we know that our intent is good. As organizational leaders, as corporate leaders, we know that we are putting in our best effort. But are we truly getting rid of that subconscious bias that exists in all of us? So I call this the patriarchal bias, which is again stymieing the growth of our women. And this bias is when we want them to work, but in our desire to protect them, in our desire to ensure that we have enough diversity and women don't leave, we end up giving them the soft jobs. We end up giving them jobs where they are not put out of their way. Oh, this is a traveling job, she will not be able to do it. Oh, this is a tough client, she'll not be able to do it. Oh, this is a tough project, she has a small kid at home, let's not give that tough project to her. We believe we are doing this to protect them. We believe we are doing this to ensure that our women stay back with us. But in the process, what actually happens is we bonsai them. By not giving them the tough jobs, by not giving them the difficult roles, we are not getting them ready for growth. And then when the time comes for promotions and when the time comes for pushing women up the corporate ladder, we turn around and say, but she's not ready. She's not handled a sales job. She's not handled a tough client. She's not handled a tough team. And women lose out. So the social biases, which are far wider and far more intrusive in a woman's life, are the first things that we need to change. The confidence that women lack is something that we need to rebuild, and we need to ensure that we give them equal opportunity. And when I say equal opportunity, I mean the tough jobs, the hard functions, the late nights, the difficult clients, as much as we give it to our male colleagues. Now, you may turn around and ask me that all the changes that you are suggesting, are attitudinal in nature. I'm doing the best in my organization, but what can I do if society is behaving like this? While you are a manager at the workplace, you're also a husband and a father and a brother and a son. How much time are you spending talking to your young female cousins and discussing their careers with them? How much time are you spending talking to your wives and daughters and sisters and bolstering their confidence? How much time are you spending when you go out and meet some men and women in a social gathering where typically men will discuss business with other men and they will discuss household related things with the women who are in their social context? How many times do we walk up to a woman and ask her about her career and her business? How do we ensure that her career is as important as the career of the male in the family? It can only happen where it is brought up front and center forward. How much time are we spending supporting our working wives and our working daughters and our working sisters at home? We, as male leaders and managers who are brothers and husbands, picking up 50% of the household chores, are we turning around and saying that I have become I'm a hunter, you were a nurturer, now you are also a hunter, let me learn to be a nurturer? Only if we change how we behave with the women in our families will we be able to push them out of this false binary that it's either your career or a family. You cannot be successful at both. And the moment we start working towards changing society and changing our own attitude towards treating women genuinely equally, by giving them equal opportunities, can we really hope that we will push women up this ladder? And the more women at the top, all of you know that if there are more women leaders, more visible women leaders, the confidence of our younger girls will go up. When they look around today, they see that the default gender of leadership is male. And the moment they see that the default gender of leadership is male, the subconscious message we are sending to our girls is that as a female, you cannot be a leader. Because look around yourself. There are only males in corporate India, in politics, in government service, as directors of institutes and medical colleges. So this is not for you. When we see more women leaders at the top, and that can only come when you and I push our women who are lacking in confidence, who are getting pushed down by society and their families, if we counter that by by building their confidence constantly, by ensuring that we tell them and tell the whole world that her career is equally important, will we be able to change this. And only then will women genuinely hold up 50% of the sky that they truly deserve. In 2021, when we are talking about diversity, there are so many other diversity issues that we need to grapple with, as Vidyottama just said. But if in 2021, we are still considering women who are 50% of the population as a diversity issue, I think that is the biggest tragedy of all. And I think you and I have to change our own attitudes and our families' attitudes to ensure that this 135 years that we have to wait for diversity as per WEF gets reduced dramatically. Thank you so much.